No, there's like he's coming home from work because sometimes no matter what. Hello. Hello.
All right, mate. Oh,
Okay. Right.
There you go.
Hang on, bear with me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
One sec. Right. He gives it that impression like I would. All right, how you doing? But you're just like, fuck's sake, people, look, fucking in my house. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Go on, Iheanyi, sorry, mate.
It's all good, mate. It's all good. All good. I was just testing out. So, I realised, Anchor. So then I clicked on the old. Look, here we go. I clicked on finally, Costa del Sol. Oh, good. I know your name. Oh my God.
At last.
I finally know his name. What's up, mate? What's going on? Let me just write that in right now.
You can know my name already from LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yes, but I don't pay attention to LinkedIn though. It's not
Oh, I see. Karl joined with that account. Okay.
No, on the contrary, this is an old account that I didn't even know I had. It just said, right, download this, and I had to download this before I could have the conversation, and it popped up like, oh, you already got an account. I was like, oh, have I? So I'm curious to know what's on it.
I didn't even have to download anything. I don't know.
Oh,
well, you're super special then, aren't you?
Exactly. Very super special.
Interesting.
And I'm looking at this. So I'm actually doing it on my iPad right now. I was about to do it on my phone, but I just did it on my iPad.
I want to transfer this account over onto the iPad and delete this off my phone. My phone is full up to the dawn at the minute, so I'd like to know if that's doable.
Oh yeah, of course it's doable. I think you could probably.
I just airdrop the link over to myself.
Yeah, and then you can come out on your phone and back in on that. Yeah.
So, but do you have an app for this? Because I've been.
Yeah, so Anchor, right, was the app. Anchor is the app, right? And I used Anchor once. I heard about it listening to a podcast, and I thought, let me download it. I downloaded it. I used it once. This was in 2019, maybe 2020, something like that. And then I haven't used it since. And then since we've started this, and I was literally getting into. I've just literally finished some of my social media stuff that I had to do for the music. So I
don't want to train in this weather. I'm sorry, I'm having a four-way conversation here. That must have just been weird as fuck.
Not at all, mate. I knew you were talking to somebody else there, so before we let it happen. That's all. It happened, and it's okay. It's not weird. But what I was going to say was, what was I saying? I was saying that, I looked at Anchor. I used it before, but now Anchor's called Podcasters, right? Because Spotify bought it or took it over, right? So I basically downloaded the apps, or should I say, updated the apps in my devices, and then it said Podcaster. So I hit it. And it was like, oh, wait a minute. It's quite.
It says Spotify for podcasters or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it goes on there. So and you can upload the thing to anywhere else, from what I understand as well. But I thought, let me try it and see whether we can utilize this as the scenario. Because once you've done, all you got to do is add music, and then you can hit publish, and then it's up. And then you just promote what's up. So I thought to myself, well, maybe that would be a more direct way of us doing that. So we can do it on. We can do it on. We can still set it up and do it on. Clubhouse. If we want that audience, if we want that audience. Or we could do it individually and then put it up and then point the audience there, depending on how we want to do that, really.
I mean, I don't mind having a conversation here on what's it called now?
Podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, I could have the conversation here. It swings and roundabouts. It all depends if you want the interaction, doesn't it?
Right. I mean, what's the results? What have we noticed with the results? Marius, what no, have you? How say you, sir, on that?
What do you mean by that?
Because you realise we've now garnered fans. Like people are those guys are going to come. If we do it again on Sunday, those people are going to be there on Sunday to listen. And if we ping, and if we ask them to ping people, they'll ping, and it will grow. Like what we're doing right now will grow in Clubhouse. I know it. I can see it already. It will grow. You know, people stayed longer this time round, and the numbers stayed a certain thing this time round, and it will just grow. But I'm saying that maybe we can, if there's a way we can do it simultaneously, that'd be cool. If not, okay, no problem.
Interesting. Do you need different devices? I don't know.
No, not specific. I mean, I use the advantage of I have a couple of devices, so you know, I can. If you have 2 devices, right? Then you can make it happen. We can make it happen. If you've got a phone and a computer or an iPad and whatever, then you can make it happen. Yeah.
Well, yeah. The one of the options for your, say, your monitor on your mixer, you just plug the monitor into the spare device and just as it as a voice recording or a recording.
Right.
And you press record, so the audio will be running into the monitor on podcasters. So that would record everything that would be heard on Clubhouse. But here's the thing. On podcasters, I dare say the audio and the stream wave's better.
Right, yeah. Like currently, the way we're looking at, currently, right, we've got microphones on our devices that, you know, that they've spent a bit of money in on that technology, right? So, you know, we're getting a clarity, we're getting a fair representation. And
I weren't talking to you, Iheanyi, obviously.
I know.
You're welcome, sis. No worries.
No problem. Yeah. So
if he calls us sis, Iheanyi, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. What is that? Is that a pronoun thing or what? What's going on?
Hold on, just shut up. Just say something. It is rude, but I'm the big brother and you should tell them to shut up. What?
I'm a nice person.
Who told you that?
Oh, that's a good one.
No, she is. She's the best sister a brother could have. But that being said,
it's good to know. It's good to know, mate. Yeah, I love that. Oh dear. So
she just looked at me right and she went, I might just go turn your radiator off.
Oh, there you go.
She knows how to hurt her brother. She knows how to hurt her brother.
No, yes, it was it. A woman scorned mate.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Dear. So yeah, I mean, I thought that if we do that, I think that'd be probably neat. You know, I'm actually digging the sounding board that we get from the tavern people that come because then they tell us afterwards, oh yeah, your voices were wonderful and what you're talking about, thank you. So at least there's like market research happening at once. So yeah, I mean, I'm just open to it because I believe we're onto. Actually, I know we're onto something, and all it takes is a little bit of expansion, and voila, we're off to the races. Seriously, gentlemen,
Well,
great.
I would have a tendency to agree. As I mentioned the other day, I love the dynamic. You know, the three of us have a unique little dynamic on how it's addressed, and we have the fortitude of character to be able to analyse and be open enough to be assessed and analysed themselves.
You right there, Marius?
Yeah, no, I'm just clearing my throat. I'm just listening. I'm at the same time looking because for some reason I had this up before. and I just found it in the cloud. Interesting. I've got a different account in there. I don't know. I probably heard about it from you, probably, or from someone else on Clubhouse, and downloaded it then, but then haven't used it, so.
You know, we're prepared, so we're looking at it as we're prepared, you know what I mean? Which is a
We heard that, Karl, we heard that.
I don't know what you heard.
I don't know.
You burping.
I had a frog, mate. I actually had a toad. See, there's that toad again. Near a toad.
That's it. It's all frogs round here.
He must be around. You see, look, he's out by the pond. You know what I mean? So it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Big ponds in England. Big ponds in England, mate. Big ponds.
Right, so as it says, this is recording, right? I tell you, I ain't got none of the sweet up. You're literally just coming through the phone while I'm stood in the garden, like an ordinary phone call. Right? Are you the same, Marius? Is that kind of what your scenario is?
Yeah, I'm on the phone, yeah.
Same here.
All right, is that kind of your scenario? So it'd be worth listening to this back to see what it sounds like.
Right. Yeah, well, same here. You know, nothing. No, I'm not using the setup. I've just got the iPad over here to the side, and I'm just doing it just because I'm wanting to see, wow, if this can function. You know, and it says here, for example, new episode. So create an episode, new episode. I can see grayed out. It says record or upload some audio, and it will appear here, publish. So, you know, I don't know whether we've got the ability to add, like starting music, finishing music. I haven't really gone into it. I literally just hit the button and said, all right, guys, let's see what's up. I didn't even bother to read any further. I thought, well, let's see what's going on. I can see the Spotify tab, so that must be published at Spotify. I can see folder tab. I see the microphone tab, and I'm on the second tab down, which is like what is it? Plus friends or something like that. So weird, because you can do your individual one where you hit record and it's just you talking, and that's how I first did it on Anchor. It was just me talking. But yeah, this is good. I didn't even know it had all these capabilities before. So yeah, this is good.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't take me to the app because I didn't have the app at the moment. I didn't have the app uploaded. It was on a cloud. So now I'm on what do you call it? On Safari in the app, something like that.
So is that how it's coming? So yeah, I was wondering what device you guys were. I was wondering what it was that you guys were communicating through.
Well, I'm coming through our iPhone S Max 10.
And then what was it? All right. And then what was the? Because you got the text. What did you get it? Because I know I put it on both WhatsApp, and I texted and I sent you individual texts as well. So where did you click the link?
I clicked the text they sent on the message.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got the text.
Okay, and then when you clicked it, it
took me a web page like it has Marius.
Yeah.
Clearly, where I've had the app downloaded before, it had the little cloud. Do you know what I mean? To re-download the app.
Yeah.
And then I'm in.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Right. Fair enough. Right. Fair enough. Good. Well, it looks like this could be quite a positive thing, and I'm trying to work out whether we can add stuff, or I don't know whether we can add, like tap into bits of audio, and then it comes in when we want it. So let's just say we had an excerpt from something that's being spoken. Could we tap it in the middle of the conversation and then carry on with that? Take a little look, but it's so far
we could do that live.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was hoping we could do that live.
Yeah, we could do that live. If you send me the tabs of audio, then we could do that live.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. All right.
If you're recording and do you know what I mean? You're dealing with all the digital fucking marketing and all the rest of it, putting it on these websites, then Yeah, I don't mind if we want to structure the show a bit more sort of like structured, so there's points where we go, well, look, this is a subject that we were talking about. This is Lord Apple fucking brass bottom talking on whatever.
Right.
You know, and it'd be like
Right,
a 2-3 minute clip or whatever, and then we go back into it. Yeah, that can be done.
All right. Good. Okay.
So did you put the podcast? What name did you put? House of Lords?
I just think it should be. Yeah, we should just do House of Lords. I mean, I've got to edit I've got to edit your pictures now and do all of that stuff and make the actual logo for us. Yeah, you know, it's just going to be that really. And I was thinking of even just finding that murmur, that House of Lords murmur, as the opening music sequence.
Yeah. All of that.
Start with that order, and then when the last sort of when I must have silence or whatever it is, whatever I can find, because I haven't found it yet, but whatever I can find, if I can find a long enough recording of it, you know, and I'll clip it to where it's when there's a final demand for order, and it fades out, and then
right. The what you're talking about there is the Houses of Parliament, right? It's the Parliamentary Public House.
Yes.
Right? Now, the Law Lords, the House of Lords.
House of Lords is different. Yeah.
Is different.
Yeah.
That's where everybody in there is a lord or an earl or a lady or a dame, you know, all of that stuff. And then they mill over the things that Parliament has agreed upon, and then it has to pass the Law Lords.
Right. Oh.
If we can find anything, right? Because the thing I've got for you, Iheanyi, is on Instagram, right? Is the black liquid.
Okay, perfect.
So I'll see if I can find some audio or sound bites from the House of Lords or the Law Lords, and see if we can extrapolate some shit from that.
The thing is, if we make it exactly the same as them, wouldn't that be that we copying them or anything? We should be.
No, it's not going to be the same as them at all. Trust in the process, Marius.
Yeah, no, it's not in the same as them. It's a how can I put it? It's like a recognition, right? Like
build that brand.
Yeah, it's like a specific atmosphere that you immediately go into when you actually hear that. And for those who recognize that, which is a lot, there's immediately going to be a perception and an opening that allows us to get in. See, and that's the key. It allows us to get in and then address as we need to, you know. But it you know, it stems from, you know, we've got to, you know, at the end of the day, if we're mulling over, as Karl said, if we're mulling over some stuff that we've come across, and clearly from our conversations, we do mull things over. You know, we come to a consensus, we come to a joint consensus, but the audience gets to at least see the different dynamic that the various fundamental aspects, and how we actually manage to come to some form of joint conclusion, or at least a joint understanding. You know, so that's us mulling over the stuff, and then when we come to a joint understanding, that's us, you know, as you know, the lords per se, making those decisions. You know.
Yeah, I love it.
So yeah, that's what we were adopting that. So there you go. You know, so that's it's perfect. You know, so I just wanted to make. Go ahead.
I certainly want to get to the crux of a discussion like we've been doing recently in the Truth Seekers, like when the three of us get to a bit of back and forth, and we really pin down, okay, what are the three of us understanding before we venture forth on this subject? You know, what are we talking about here?
Right.
You know, and I like the way we do that, because it does give that kind of Socratic kind of principle and demonstration to the listener.
Yes.
And the art of conversation and discussion and discernment seems to be lost now. People are always taking a defensive position. If you're not with me, you're against. And if we start instilling the principles, and not only instilling but demonstrating how you get to a cognitive understanding between a collective group, that in itself would be enticing for individuals of a various intellect, which is a very different demographic, which is great. You know, I'd like to think that we could try to reach as many as possible, from the layperson to the intellectual and the to-do person.
Right.
You know, the moment you start crossing that barrier and bringing them together, that's when you start to make a proper change.
There you go. Yeah, that makes good sense. And really the goal is, the objective is to cause change, to cause positive change. You know, there's your objective. You know. So if it's in 1, 10, if it's in 100, if it's in 1,000, you know, it's positive change that can go ahead and permeate out.
I would agree. I would certainly agree with that, mate.
We should also we should try and get Tommy on to talk about for a moment. Well, depending on what we're doing, but we should get a couple of people that are doing some very interesting things right about now. So you know, some very like humanitarian things, very, you know, bold, you know, investing in humanity the right way, you know, one city at a time, stuff like that. And I think those are some of the really big changes that are taking place on a community level, and I think should be maybe the idea of incorporating some of those would be good, because it's grassroots, but it shows hope within the local communities where none is being shown from these higher up type entities. So, you know.
Yeah, I've sent you a couple of pictures. I don't know which one you want to choose for when you're doing the.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's why I was looking. I was listening to you guys, but I was looking through my phone.
No. Thank you. No, that's fine. That's fine, bro. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, good.
You got them ones I sent you from last time, didn't you?
Yeah, that was in your email. Yeah, you sent an email and I saw them in there, so they're solid. They're big, and then you had the silhouette close up of your boat, and whatever. And I said that boat really just to see how Marius responded, whether he understands what boat is.
What?
Do you know what? If I was to talk reference somebody and I said, I saw it on their boat, right? Do you know what that would actually mean? Now that you've been in London long enough now, I'm just testing you out really, because when you have to go undercover, can't have you sort of expose the situation. So go ahead. Do you know what that means?
No, I don't.
I'll give you the second word. Hang on. Give him half a chance, right? Give me the second word. Then it'd be race. So I was looking at him and I asked him this question, and I saw it in his boat race.
I was looking at him. I was asking a question.
You know it's going to work.
I knew he was lying because I saw it in his boat or his Chevy Chase.
That's leading, governor. You're leading like
But oh my goodness, the slangs, man. And he was lying because I saw in his boat.
Boat race. In his boat race.
Yeah.
His face, Marius.
That's what I was thinking of face, but I was like, no, he doesn't say the face, does it?
It does. Race. Face. Race. Boat race. Yeah.
Oh, fuck no. I was looking at it. I was like, he's definitely the face, but he's not the face because he says boat race. What the fuck boat race is?
Yeah, exactly. There you go, mate. There you go. That's it, man. That's it. You see, you just checking. It's all right. We'll coach you. Yeah, we'll get you through.
Who said I need coaching to learn all that shit? But listen. When this kind of thing shows up, that's a good when we can make a bit of a laugh. You know, me as the immigrant in the UK. You know, so I don't mind. You know, having throwing a few jokes to test. If there's some of them will be like, oh, that's not fair. He's an immigrant. Why are they being mean? Or the other things around, you know. Or you can play the immigrant in the United States, Iheanyi, and see, you know, just test their reactions and see what the fuck.
No, I genuinely, I was like, you know, for me that was just the joke of us, you know, having to go undercover somewhere in London as Londoners, and it's like. Marius has to be quick. Look, mate, just remember this. If you hear this, if you hear that, that's what they're talking about, you know. So that way you can go through, you know. So it's just a bit of a whimsy, and it's kind of a whimsy on all fronts, really, because it's also a whimsy on the actual the English language and the construction of a completely different language using the same English words, but for them to mean completely different things. In order for those that then came up with that language to be able to mask what they were talking about in front of those who didn't know, so in front of the toffs, basically. So people were talking their own dialogue, and toffs would never know.
No, well, we had when I grew up, you know, the ones that were committing theft, right? That's how they had to change the language so they could speak in the crowd without the crowd knowing, right? So they were twisting the words, so there's certain ways you can say in a certain way that the crowd would not be aware. So it would let know the other one if they're ready to steal from their pockets, from their, you know, from whatever. So we have that in Romania as well, which is interesting. I don't know if they still use it, but that used to be another thing. So I've learned it being around them, you know.
Right. Love it, man.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, man. Everywhere we reside, you know, there is that type of ingenuity, shall we call it?
You know, I was actually I had a discussion with Karl. I think it was a couple of weeks back, isn't it, Karl? When I was discussing how much everything can be sorted out if we just tap into the ones that are inside, because there's so much creativity and has so much business minds in there, because the only reason most of them are actually criminals is because it's against the system, or the system wants us to do, right? But if you think about how much most of them are great business minds, honestly, and not just business minds, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just incredible.
Yeah, no, what's it? Wow. When I first came at the clubhouse, I used to go to this room, and there was this gentleman who had left the police force. He was in the United States, one of the city police forces here, and he resigned. Right, and he resigned because he just didn't really. He felt that he's gone as far as he could, right? And he told a story of because he used to be in that area. He used to be in those precincts in Baltimore and stuff, and he told me of a story of how he was always blown away by how much business acumen these young kids who hardly had anything but knew how to sling gear. He said he was blown away by their business acumen, right? By their
strategy,
by their intelligence. Oh yeah, by their strategies, by their intent, the whole bit. At one point, he said there was this little 15-year-old in the back of his car. He put him in the back of the patrol car, right? And he had the money and the drugs from the kid, and he was looking at everything, and he couldn't quite work out what was going on. And the kid could see him looking at him. The kid's at the back, right?
Yeah.
Cuffs on. And he's at the back, and he sees it. And the kid goes, "Listen, he goes, let me tell you." And he said that paper goes with those drugs. He goes, that paper goes with those drugs, and then that paper goes with those drugs. And then the guy was like, "What?" Bloody hell. So he was using. So it basically the note. So like singles were used for a particular drug. 5s were used to purchase another drug. 10s were used to purchase another drug. and that's how he counted his money. That's how he did his business. And so when the officer saw this, right, he looked at it, and then he looked at the kid, and he goes, why? He goes, what? He goes, you know how smart you actually are? And he goes, yeah, but this is all I've got available to me. That's what the kid said. He goes, yes, but this is all available to me, right? I mean, so basically, the officer made sure that the kid didn't. It was like a warning and stuff. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, if I do remember the story correctly, if I'm not mistaken, he proceeded to at least see whether the child could get a leg up, because he just thought, wait a minute, a smart kid, sharp as anything like that, and doing that, you know, and it blew him away. And that was just one child. He said the amount of times he saw that. See, he said no wonder. He said it's unreal. He said these people are smart as fuck. He goes, they are smart as hell. They know numbers. They know math, right? Like no one's business. They're doing it in their heads on the fly. He goes, that's an achievement. That takes some effort. You know, but because of the subject that it's surrounded, because of the environment that you find that in, there's no real observation of the intelligence or the intellect involved. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's one thing. The other thing, Iheanyi, those people that are intelligent are inside. They do business with these powers anywhere in the back end. So,
right.
Some of them are being told you are safer inside than outside. We can protect you better. They stay inside for the rest of their life running the business. You know. So
right.
There's many things.
Who's wildfire?
Who is he talking to?
He's talking to someone.
I'm talking to my brother-in-law. Sorry.
You can hear you.
From work, and I can't be rude.
Yeah, you're smart. It's okay. It's all right. It's natural. We're running. It's all right. We're having a conversation. It's all good.
As long as
hey, this is meant to be a sound check. I don't know what you're talking about. We running. It's another one of those conversations where we just end up going deep into it.
Maybe.
Mate, we run all the time.
Yeah, the idea is
yes, we do.
Every time we have a discussion, maybe it's best to go through this app. So if there's any,
we can capture it.
We can capture when we go on the roll and start running.
Oh yeah, you know. Last night I woke up this morning, right? I got onto Club. I looked at Club Deck because it wasn't switched off. I could hear people talking, and guess what I saw? I saw the record button still on. I was like, what? So then I looked to see. I recorded a 7-hour file of the tavern. So I went to sleep last night and I forgot to switch off record.
So Karl is gonna hear when you were calling on him.
There's a 7-hour file. I woke up. 7 hours.
There'll be some sound bites in there, mate.
Yeah, there's going to be a few. There's going to be a few in there. There's going to be a few. I woke up this morning, saw it, switched it off, and I was like, hang on. Looked at it, 7 hours, it was only 130 something megs because it's like an AAC kind of file. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I like that. So yeah, there you go. The hard drive wasn't full up and like busted or anything like that. So I was like, nice. 7 hours, gentlemen. That's a record.
Wow. Yeah, I think I tipped out. Must have been about 7:30 this morning. 7 o'clock this morning, I think I tipped out.
See, well, there you go. See, what I would
have. I laid in the sofa because I had to wake up and take my missus, and I fell asleep. I think just before 7 or something. But I was still in Clubhouse.
So very good. So yeah, there's going to be enough stuff to start, chipping away and stuff. I'm not going to record anything else for now because I've got like a folder of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 recordings from the rooms, grabbing snippets here, there when I was alert to it and stuff, and then like some of the other rooms that researcher haven't opened. I've just managed to capture a few bits and pieces, some from the round table, some from the lounge, the coffee. So we'll see what we could. What's that? Exporting Legends of Atlantis Oh yeah, Fetish for Control, House of Lords, okay, and Steve Kerr, shout out, and the OK Corral. Yeah, so yeah, so there's a few bits and pieces. It's a pity none of those Muppets came to Steve Kerr's thing. Otherwise, trust me on this, they'd be on some tune right now, mate. Sounding really stupid. So I'm glad.
In all fairness, though, there were some Muppets in there saying some Muppety things.
True. Maybe I might have some of that on there. Then let's have a look and see. Yeah, it's always good to expose them up. But I have to admit, a researcher seems rather excited about what's going on in the world. He's excited, which is an interesting barometer. It's an interesting barometer because his main thing is bring down the propaganda, bring it all down, and he studies his face off, right? So he studies his face off. So it's interesting to hear him share some stuff. And when people come in with aspects that are a little bit, I try not to decimate them as hard. I try not to decimate them anymore. Like I'm much more reserved. I try to go around the houses a little bit, try to hint to them as I'm going around the houses, just to try to, gradually bring them in.
Iheanyi, I'll be honest with you. I may sound like a retarded now, but I'll be honest with you. For some reason, I got the feeling that they already signed out. They're already somewhere on an island. All these fucking actors that we're looking at, and they just playing a game in front of our eyes. The fact that Trump still talks about Biden as being Biden, not exposing that he's not the fucking real Biden. What world are we living in? I don't know. It's an entire. For me, when I just listen to it, and that might be me, I'm probably an arrogant prick and I just look at it different ways, but it doesn't look nothing else than a show that's being played in front of people, and people are still biting into all that. And especially when I hear the X22 report and the guy that everything Trump does, everything is been planned and it's been done and I'm like, my goodness, what a brilliant mind. Fair enough, but why not expose what's actually real to be exposed? What do you mean when they're gonna see that he's not fit to be the president? He's not the fucking president. He's not even the fucking Biden. What are you talking about? I don't know. It's just me. But for me, I think they already signed out, and they just playing the fact that they're gonna put them in, but they start dying one by one, apparently. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know what you guys thinking, but for me, this show is just incredible.
I mean, yeah, the show is pretty incredible. But look at it like this: if it is actually the way it's gone down, and if certain information that's already out there is to be understood and accepted, because it seems almost impossible, but for some apparent reason it looks as if some stuff has taken place. Because
Iheanyi, the Constitution is not to go to court with the Constitution, it's to apply it, and it's not being applied for a reason everywhere.
Right. But first of all, if we go back to some of the culprits, well, it would appear, based upon particular findings that you can find now, it would appear that those people were taken care of, and they were dealt with for exactly the crime that they were doing, like actually properly dealt with, but not on soil because of the realities of where we happen to be, the realities of the actual law of sea and in the laws of the land. You see, that's the one thing that I'm noticing when you don't hear about those things. Oh, but it's maritime law, blah blah, this, that, and the other. And say, what are you talking about? And say, no, well, look at the flags and all this stuff. But none of that really comes into play until now. And then now you realize, well, wow.
But that's what we get confused, Iheanyi. We go through the laws and all that. The Constitution should be the point where the people say that this is the Constitution. Good.
No, but you see, here's the thing. That's not it. You see, because the Constitution has already been. There's been some attachments that have then been forced onto the people, right? So now that's kind of confused the people over decades and decades and decades. So no one's really sure, right? That's the first thing. You've got the constant play, the constant backwards and forwards, the constant sort of them and us division, that type of thing happening. So no one can really gel. But going back to the point. But you see, regardless of that, what it is they have to do it. Think of it like this: if you know, when somebody said they were going to drain out the swamp, right? Nobody in the world, no one could ever even know what that even looks like or what that's even going to feel like, right? No one could know. Okay. Now, if I thought that there comes a point where we feel kind of frustrated that all these people are getting away with things. Like certain people, you'll hear them talk and they'll start shouting because they feel like these people are getting away with it, and their voices will raise. But what if you could say to those people, yeah, but actually they have been dealt with, don't worry about it. Like researcher did today with Karl. She was saying something about a particular person and researchers like, but wait, have you seen that person lately? Did you know? And then somebody else one woman was saying something, and then someone else said, oh yeah, Karen said, oh yeah, he got an accelerated crazy shot as his way out. I was like, what? You know, and you listen, you think, and I'm seeing this. Then in the information that's now available, half the reason why most of those people that bought that top brass are being caught is because they got one person, they broke the weakest person, and that person grasped on everybody, so they all got caught. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of footage, and you name it, showing this stuff. Like it's nuts. It's actually nuts. But you can't show that to the average schmo because they don't have the capacity for it yet. They don't even, because they don't realize that these people were taking the piss in the first place, you see? So how are you going to show them and say, hey, by the way, these people did this, so we've taken care of it like that, when those people don't even know that was going on, right? To us, we find out, we're like, okay, good, finally, it feels like there's a balance. It feels like there are people on that side trying their best to level out the playing field, right? But that's the only way it's going to come to a head. But remember what you keep on hearing. They have to play out the whole role. So if Hollywood wants to get involved in the way it did and the way it does and stuff like that, so then two can play at that game. Two can play at that game. You hear what I'm saying?
You've been in the United States for too long, Iheanyi.
No. No, I agree. No, actually, I agree. But still, but you got to understand if you understand what's going on, the only way you're going to win here is to be the master of the charade. You have to have your plan, and you have to be able to be the one who's in control of the charade. Otherwise, you'll never win.
I think Karl wants to tap in. Go on, Karl.
Please, yeah, tap in, mate.
No, this is the point. There's the stance that you're taking, Marius, from what I can surmise from listening to you, is, you know, operating within the system that's got us into this shit in the first place may not be the best way forward, and needs some serious recognition. That I would agree with. Equally, I also understand the position that's being put forward by Iheanyi, in the sense of the level of comprehension that the general masses are experiencing their level of reality too. You've got to understand that a lot of the world is seeing life on Earth through their own particular lens, and vast swathes of humanity haven't been exposed to the level of information and Satanism and sadistic kind of otherworldly activities that are really taking place. If you was to just kind of, right, this is what's been going on and this is what it is, you know, with the tests that have come prior to that, with things like War of the Worlds, when that was played out, I know it was a long time ago, but vast swathes of people lost their shit, proverbially speaking. You know, the aliens are coming, and they're starting shooting at things and all kinds of stuff, started looting. It was just a bizarre affair, but it was a gauge on how the collective mass can act irresponsibly when corralled by the herd, in a sense. You know, it leans towards that. An individual is quite reasonable, They can sit and conversate even on subjects that they may not quite comprehend or maybe uncomfortable about, but they can find the dexterity within their characters to embark on such a conversation. However, mass are rather stupid, especially if they're alarmed. You know, it's that whole startling a herd of cattle to the point they stampede. Human beings, in and by their nature, in a collective tribe, are no different. So there has to be this charade, I dare say what Iheanyi's getting at, on playing out the pre-existing legal structure that has facilitated these tyrants getting to the positions that they've got to. So it has to be seen to be going through that structure in a sense. And in relation to maritime laws, it has been suggested that they've been dealing with these people in open waters, international waters. You know, it's a very different rule out there if you understand the legalese and the way the laws operate. So this is one way that they've been dealing with the severity of the crimes that these individuals have been doing, really.
You know, one thing that comes up, Karl, is I understand, okay, masses are not prepared and it may be chaos. One question that was coming up is like, so is it going to be less of a loss of a life if we prolong it while they're being killed by the bioweapons and all the bullshit that's being thrown at us? Or if it's all just being revealed and everyone goes wild and then after that it all calms down? Is it going to be less or more loss of a life? I don't know. But it's interesting. It pretty much looks like it's going to be the same. It's just depending on what kind of a process we want to go through.
It was always going to be. There was always going to be a certain amount, right? Because decisions were made, right? People, because don't forget, a part of the equation is the individual's decision. That was always part of the equation.
And still is, exactly.
So, you know, at the end of the day, it's more to the point of, well, those decisions are going to be made and the results of those decisions are going to lead to X, Y, and Z. They have chosen that for themselves. Now they can turn left or turn right and swerve off course and get some actual help if they go to the right spot, and if that's what they truly want to do, and if that's their choice. We're just dealing with, you know, the choices that we've made and how we can, you know, flourish from those choices that we've made. And the choices that have been made, which may appear to have a negative effect on those who've made them, well, then we'll have to, you know, bear that loss as the time comes and goes, you know. So, and that's it.
Good. I was going to say, you do make a very interesting point, right? But because there was some absolutes in your dialect, like, you know, this is going to be the case. But in this instance, you can certainly lean towards that. If we look back throughout history, human beings have always had an uncanny nature to structure themselves into some hierarchical system through finance, academia, spiritual development, bandwidth of thought, you know, from the lay individual that doesn't think much beyond, you know, the confines of his own environment, to those that are comprehending, you know, the more theoretical celestial matters and such as that. And this time is no different, you know, as individuals are waking up to the realities and the comprehensions of what potentially could be going on in our world, with a comprehension of the multiverse and interdimensional beings, the manipulation of technology to influence people in behavior in particular ways. we will still, I suppose we could hypothesize certainly that we will still see that ism play out, you know, as some develop a higher vibratory comprehension of their life, moving into the realms of the fifth dimensional kind of bandwidth, where you're beginning to re-engage, as you both have heard me talk about before, that so-called dormant DNA that is just waiting for the consciousness, the bandwidth of our comprehensions and the acceptance of our limitless potential to re-engage that said dormant DNA, which brings us into the realms of, you know, interdimensional, interstellar communications with beings far beyond our current comprehensions and potentials and understandings. But all the while that's going on, you could certainly consider the individuals that are still going to, you know, the bargain booze, the football, and outside of their own little environment, neither spiritually or academically or you know, a world of commerce or just some kind of interest on how the world is operating. You know, there's many around us, and I dare say each and every one of us can roll off half a dozen people that don't think much beyond the comforts of their own comprehensions. There's that beautiful silence again.
Yep. What did I say? Well, no, that's well stated. Well stated. Well stated.
Oh, there's a lovely masquerade around, isn't it?
And what was the masquerade? It was a ball, right? People of influence, people of social standing, wearing a mask and having a good time, hoodwinking and beguiling people to suit their own version of the reality that they wish to experience, laughing and joking while they did it. Is it not time that we join this cosmological ball and enjoy ourselves?
Exactly. Indeed.
Aha!
There's nothing. Yes, no, definitely. No, definitely. I feel like that's something that can be inspired to, something that we can look towards enjoying. Why not? It's there. It's available.
You know,
it's the very life we're living. That's the point I'm getting at here, Iheanyi. You know, I'm not kind of actually talking of the eyes wide shut scenarios that we could, you know, fraught ourselves with sensual body ecstasy, right, and all our debauched little fantasies. I'm actually talking about a cosmological shift in consciousness that raises into paradigms that yet are undiscovered by our current state of being.
Right. Yes. Well, you know, it's really quite it's an interesting how the universe works. Yesterday I was posting something to Instagram, and then I came across something. I came across this. It was basically saying, you know, this video's not going to be up that much longer, that type of stuff. But what was interesting was when I heard the words, I saw the captions, and I thought, It's like I edited I unmuted it and listened, and then I clicked below, and I'm like, you're doing what? Frequencies? What about these frequencies? They're from where? I was watching the whole thing. We're talking about harmonizing both hemispheres with these frequencies. Excuse me, what? So I carried on following the video documentary. I stopped because we went to, Richmond, to give birthday celebrations with my daughter and stuff, and then I came back, carried on listening, and I was like, wait a minute, And the reason why I watched it is because it's basically, the only way I can describe it is like this. And I've always felt this in my soul, right? I've always felt this. So humans have abilities that certain agencies will try to recreate artificially using as much equipment as they can. That's the best way I can describe it, right? So, and humans are kind of good at that. You know, they're good at putting something in the way of the actual thing. And actually, no, it's not humans that are doing it. Think of this, our communication, there's always been blockages in our communication. So if I was to say that we're actually telepathic, it's just that we've forgotten how to use it. So because we use telephones, there you go, right? Somebody thought it was a better idea to do that than for us to develop our ability to actually tap into the universe and communicate with each other in, you know, focused and so forth. Somebody thought that wouldn't be a good idea. Right? And if it can happen 6 feet away from somebody or 3 feet away from somebody, it can happen 150 feet away or a mile away or 2 miles away. It can. But had we been given that sort of impetus, that's the pathway that we would have been rolling on back then. Maybe we weren't ready. Who knows? But it's definitely an actual possibility, an actual genuine attainable possibility for humans to be able to do that and more, because we've seen it already. We already see it happens in our species, and it just takes a matter of a battle. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we dive off the deep end, then we've seen it far transcend, you know, the measly mile. You know, things like Project Looking Glass and the studies into remote viewing and ESP, extrasensory perception, and all the clairs, all of those capabilities. Then you see the Qigong masters that can ring bells from 20 feet away just by moving the energy within themselves. Also seeing sort of like Tibetan and Buddhist healers through sound get rid of tumors in real time. You know, the capabilities of what is possible and the collective consensus on what is taught is possible is the difference between science fiction and fact.
Right.
You know, to the point where we're almost led to believe in this science fiction that this petroleum medicine will help us, where the true gifts and capabilities were there. Because if we look at all of these things that are being pushed and thrust into the human body, this transmitter and receiver of cosmic, innovative, creative, problem-solving genius level of output, all of the stuff that we're digesting are disruptors of the communications with that source. And the moment we start becoming privy to that, and you're right to make sort of like reference to the gadgets, because of the gadgets in one essence have made people lazy from being able to express themselves in their unique, beautiful, limitless selves. You know, they have used these to dull their interest in their creative capabilities of the aforementioned limitless potentials of one's innovative, creative, limitless potential genius level IQ that we are innately all born with. You know, if we look at various studies, when it goes down to, you get to about 5 years old, that drops down drastically to the point where you get to the people in their 30s, only about 2% of that group retain that innovative, creative, genius level creative thinking. And you have to ask yourself, well, what's the catalyst there? And then you see all of the things that are thrust upon us as normal every day, the academic systems and everything else, left brain repetition-based learning. It's not exactly propelling consciousness into the realms of quantum theology and taking a real good look at the personal experience and how that is weaving the quality of its experience in and onto itself.
Did you catch that?
Are they ready for that kind of? Are they ready for that kind of conversation?
You know, Iheanyi, I wanted to ask you a question earlier. I don't know what your stand is with Trump. The question is, there is also a possibility that Trump can play like a buffoon and trick the people. That's a possibility. The question is, how would masses respond if that would be the case?
I mean, it's the ultimate, it would be the ultimate.
The Joker card.
That'd be like the ultimate betrayal. There'd be a lot of dismay. There'd be a lot of confusion. You think there's confusion now? Woo! There'd be a lot of confusion. In the back of, long years ago, I always thought, well, look, they come from the same area, so always expect that could even happen. But if it doesn't, great, brilliant, rock and roll. But in the back of your mind, always know that the reality is that anything can happen, and that's the reality. Anything can happen, whether it will or not. It's neither here nor there. You have to just accept the fact that anything can happen. So when it does, you kind of know it for what it is. You're ready.
The thing is, because Karl brought to the table the Project Looking Glass.
Yeah.
And it's been presented to the tavern many times. Despite the fact that it's been presented, doesn't look like, and I'm not claiming to understand it completely or in its entirety, but there is a message in there when the guy actually explains, and he says, well, if people start to believe that there is going to be a catastrophic event,
precisely,
it will happen, right? And you hear in the tavern keep coming and, look at the new movie, the Obama. It's not that you have to look at it, but if you look at it, and all these movies that present like a future with all the fights between AI and the human race, and I'm like, have you heard about what the Project Looking Glass is about?
Exactly. I've mentioned it. I've mentioned it in the past where I said the problem is, I said, here's the thing. I said, look, it's a good thing. They were like, what? I said, because these elites, they keep on looking in, they keep on feeding it the same information, and they, no matter how they keep on feeding all kinds of information into it, and in the end, it tells them that they don't win. So if you actually have said that, if it's been told to you they don't win, how is it? If somebody comes out to me and says, based on this and all of this stuff, right? They don't win, right? How am I gonna not consider that? How am I gonna just ignore that and continue to be like, well, this is happening, like there's members that keep on hitting me up privately, texting, you need to see this, you need to see that. I'm like, no, I don't. And I don't. I just don't even look at it. I'm like, because it's like, that's not what I'm focused on. And then I have to explain, if you keep on focusing on that, right, you're not going to be able to focus on what you need to do. It's just literally, it's as plain and as simple as that. I can't even make it any simpler. If you take the time out to look for these things and you're already in fear and you already break down in tears when you speak to me on the phone because of this stuff, and then you continue to go ahead and look for it, when I'm trying to tell you, focus on you. Do your thing so that you can become sufficient. You watching these people doesn't make you sufficient. It doesn't. I said, you've got to stop. You've got to let that lot go. It doesn't matter what they're trying to do. We've got everything we need. We've been told already. We've already got what we need to defend ourselves from any type of bug, any type of madness they even try. Right? And it grows out the ground. Yeah? So we've got all that. It's not a problem. We got all that. We've got it all nutrient down into pill forms and everything like this, and certain people are rocking and rolling and ready to go. So we've got all that. It's not an issue. Right? So if you know that, if you already know right? That when people start panicking about nuclear war, it's like, no. Again, if you've paid attention to the specialists over the years who have followed these things, like people like Dr. Stephen Greer, you will understand that there will never be that can't take place on this earth, because most people keep on thinking that it's just between us. They have no clue that there's an external factor, a rather large, a rather sort of like massive, almost unfathomable, to most people unfathomable presence outside of it, and they have no clue about it. So that's the reason why I've said to these people, I've shown them, I've given them the stories, I've given them the documented events to show them and say, dude, it don't matter what they're doing. There's other entities that are like, yes, you may have them, but you can't use them. It's so simple as that. Do whatever facade it is that you're doing, but you're not allowed to use them. It's not about you lot.
Is there, I don't know how it's, sorry to interrupt you. Is on the app, is there a way of you can put your mic off?
Well, I'm not moving. I'm just literally in the spot.
No, not you to put you. If there is an option that we can, if I do something.
Oh, mic on, mic off.
I was looking for that earlier on when I went to the toilet. And no, you don't have that option, I'm afraid. You don't, right? That's it. You're live, right? It's with you. And you're off, right? So if you've got stuff to do, then you just be that authentic self and
I want to put the kettle on to get my coffee.
Well, put the phone down and put the kettle on. Yeah, put the phone down, put your kettle on, do what you need to do, come back to it. I do that all the time. I do it all the time. So, you don't hear shuffle, bang, crack, wallop. No, you don't hear that. Again, ladies and gentlemen, some of us are still learning how to actually, familiarize ourselves in this world, in this podcast world. So please forgive our young learned colleague.
What, is that going to be a podcast? I thought that was going to be a test.
Who knows?
Well, no, this is clearly no test, is it? There's been more than enough information to start to spike people's interest or curiosity, and Iheanyi, I love this kind of reality check. Really, the world is yet to truly comprehend of this something far greater. How many of those silos stories during the Cuban and the missile crisis, incidents like Roslington Forest incident here in the UK, other places where nuclear bombs have had their launch pads and all the rest of it, and they've had their run-ins with interdimensional flying craft that just turned these machines off. There's been video footage over the years of these tests being shot out the sky by at the time UFOs, unidentified flying craft. Equally with the USOs, those unidentified submerged aspects. I mean, there's so much, and they've come forward with various whistleblowers, but one believe or not, and it's like the rumor is, that it's very much like Star Wars out there. It's very much Star Trek-ish. The Galactic Federation of these very evolved individuals, militarily, scientifically, spiritually, and they had this particular council, and there was conflicts, and now Earth is what it is. It's this weird kind of phenomenon of otherness. There's a multitude of life forms that are here, that are conducting their lives. There are suggested individuals that have been here before us, and because of various deluges and cataclysmic events and upheavals, they were forced underground, and that's kind of where they're at. The scope is absolutely nuts. If you take into account the the hearsay on the SSP, Secret Space Program. You take into account some eyewitness testimonies of Aztec Mayan type people coming back in these cylindrical UFOs, but they're like concrete, and you know, these mines disappeared. These mines didn't disappear, or these Aztecs. You know, apparently, rumor is they left.
Yes.
Because of some upheaval that was just about to befall the planet. So there's muchness, if we could pick such a word, and the word would be the profundity, the scope, the level of what if. Now, if this suggested what if
right.
is true, is so, then I stagger to think really how the general populace on the earth would actually process the reality of the situation it finds itself in without knowing.
Right. Right. That's the bit. How are they supposed to process that? Because I've often wondered. You know, and it's clear that efforts have been made. It is clear that that's an understanding that there's going to need to be some form of, you know, there's going to need to be clearly a communication saying, hey, by the way, this is what's happening. You know, and obviously, because we have been this burgeoning species, they've had to. It's quite interesting when you look at it. It's almost like they have gradually but surely introduced the idea over decades, getting it into the psyche of humanity and getting enough in there so that, you know, Trekkie is just a name. It's just a name for a big fan of Star Trek. But to be a big fan of Star Trek, you had to have absorbed and have seen all of the different situations and psychological aspects and technological aspects that were displayed there. And then that's just one entity. You know, you've got others. You know, Buck Rogers in the 20th century, when that came out, they already did a shuttle launch long before the shuttle launch actually happened. It actually genuinely happened. It's crazy. I was like, wait, that hasn't even happened yet. But so, you know, but this is what they were doing, you know, and people can say either they were trying to program you predictively or not. The point of the matter is that you can kind of see it taking, that's really it. I'm not sure about the programming part. You know, I understand it.
You said something just a second ago, Iheanyi, that made me think of this thread. Are you with us? Are we getting bad signal?
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, right, yeah, that made me... It's also suggested that because of the conflict between those outside of our comprehensions, right? Let's say interdimensional being A and interdimensional being B. Now, these particular groups have kind of dominion within the respective solar systems and everything else. But like we said, like we explored, there's some kind of international treaty, some space treaty that this crazy petri dish has to pan out. And the people, which is us, need to make their own decision. So there are these individuals that are pushing things one way. If we look at the way the media is going at the minute, and all of these weird kind of normalizations of fetishy kind of identifying characters, is certainly a leaning towards more of that draconian,
right,
reptoidy kind of slave master, you know, debauched expression. That kind of iconography kind of brings in that image of those reptoid overlords, if you'd want to call it that. Right, but equally, hand in hand with that is the opposing groups that are also here, that are wanting to bring about the awareness within the collective species, so it can truly join its space-born brethren. Yeah, sorry, I took a moment there because I kind of heard myself say space-born brethren,
Yes.
and it took me for a second.
Nah.
But
this is it.
Yeah, that's kind of the conflict going on. But yet, harping back to the point that you were making, people are still caught up with the semantics of the show, without no real awareness of a much bigger cosmological structure that's been operating long before our inception.
Right. You know, the idea that well, we came, there was nothing. Yeah, maybe so, but you know, maybe maybe it's the description isn't a description on the entire universe. It's a description on us lot and our bearings, and where how we made it into the situation. How, you know, if Earth was put together for us, you know, then all of that would make sense, because it could only be perceived from within that environment. If you're focused on that environment, whatever else is happening outside of that environment is not part of the story, especially if there is an actual ability to create a vacuum between that and everything else, which is clear. That's what space is about, right? A vacuum between each space, each world, each reality, right? How else are you going to separate them? It's amazing, right, when you think about it. And then, so that's the physical side of it, but it's down to us to, obviously, from a quantum perspective, go within to actually then connect to the rest of it. So yeah, it's a really remarkable moment.
I'd like to bring us back to a potentiality of all this, right? Well, given the notion of what we've just discussed, and I think we said a lot without saying much, but in reference to the technological capabilities of that outside of ourselves, and when I know both of you have listened to the Emerald Tablets, and I've read it a fair bit. There's a various tablet in there where they start talking about various initiatives that brought forth these interdimensional beings that hijacked and could manipulate the
right
expressions of people, you know. So they hijack positions of power, kingships, heads of state, etc. a very, very long time ago, and they've been kind of the puppeteers ever since. So given the development in the past, 5 minutes in technology, and how we've had trickles come through from the painting off it's on how some of this technology that is in our devices, is in our streets, it is on the lampposts, can actually also project frequency. They're not just transmitters, they're receivers and transmitters. And with the new discoveries on how various frequencies can make people act in peculiar ways and make them docile, make them angry, and if we allow ourselves to imagine again that those that hijack the various positions of power, this new emergence of technology isn't actually being utilized to keep people in a particular frequency range and make them more malleable to the suggestions of this rather maniacal, reptoidal, interdimensional beings. Are we seeing this true kind of push where they're pushing as we move? If we're really going out here now, right? We're now moving into the age of Aquarius. You can say we are in the age of Aquarius, right? And all the attributes and trimmings that go along with that on a vibratory level. So we mentioned earlier on, right? There's this much bigger theatre of war taking place. This much bigger conflict of one group seeing the divine potential within the human species, with its innovative genius level of IQ from the moment it comes into this world, and with the right environment and with the right training, the capabilities are yet unmapped. And there are those that are very much aware of that. But equally, there are those that are very much aware of that for their own maniacal means. You know, they want to manipulate, and as we mentioned before, Iheanyi, in yesterday's room, right, about there would be those that, if exposed to the reality of the situation and they were to see these individuals, would revert back to their initial programming,
Right.
which would be a slave race.
Right.
So
Right.
I suppose what we're dealing with is the manipulation of the Draconians, and you've got also the waiting and the spiritual guidance of a more celestial, enlightened path.
Right. And the thing that connects the two is our ability to choose. That's the bridge between the both of them, is our ability to choose. And should we apply ourselves on either road, if we applied ourselves with 100% commitment down on either road, we would find ourselves equally as powerful on either road.
But isn't the evidence suggesting that there isn't a road necessarily to travel? It's just an acceptance within the self,
right,
of giving over to that potential and that line of communication, and then accepting that capability is there and has always been there. There's never been no disconnect. For how can the all disconnect from itself?
And now you see right there, right, you've made another great point, and I'm glad it worked out that way, because when I was using the word road, and then you turned around and said, yeah, but well, you know, it wasn't really a road to go down. Precisely. But if you notice, they have always utilized that phrase, that terminology. Yeah, this is the path you need to take. This is the road. And when you think about it, that suggests something outside of you. The path you need to take is down such as the road you need, and that's something that's outside of you, because there are no pathways and roads in you. We don't look at it. We don't term it like that, right? We never have. We simply look inward. We don't need to go down a path. We don't need to go down a road, because that would literally be somebody basically speaking over us to leave where we happen to be. To focus outside of ourselves by focusing what's on a proverbial road or a pathway. Something that you have to look down at to make sure, something you have to focus on to make sure you travel down. But looking inwards, you can go anywhere.
Well, that's again, a marvelous point on linguistic programming. How people's dialect weave the limitations to their expressions without them realizing it. I got to go find myself. Phrases like that so many people use, and I'm sure we've all heard somebody say it. And the reality of the situation is, where else will you be other than right there posing the question?
Exactly. Look at that massive disconnect I've got to find myself. That presents a huge disconnect. It really does. But but very well placed. But then that's the solid, succinct answer that is required in those moments. So it's not laboured upon. It's not. It isn't this whole. It's just, oh, you skipped off. You skipped off the track. Yeah, there you go. Back on. No big deal. Keep going. You know, that's it. We don't have to get into it as to why it happened, or we really express, and now we're going to go deep into why that wheel came off the track just for a moment. You popped it back on. You're on the road. Focus there. Rock and roll. You know. I think that type of. I think that's the entire way in which we have dealt with each other, in which humanity has interacted. I think there's about to be a change even in that. Because now people aren't looking for the ulterior motive. People are aware of the ulterior motive. Well, maybe they should be, but people have they become, in their wariness, have they become more alert? Have they become more attentive? Have they become more aware? Was this what was required to bring them to that state of attention?
Marius.
What?
Well, you're with us. You're with us. You've made your brew.
I'm listening.
Okay. No, they're good points. They're very good points, Iheanyi. But it does bring us back to almost full circle on the individual and that disconnect that people are having. I mentioned to my sister, I was having a conversation earlier on, and she heard me talking about something. And she said, "Who would have thought, 20 odd years ago, that this is where you'd be at the moment?" And she was laughing, and then she mentioned about that you kind of took the wrong path. You was proper going the wrong path all the time. And I said, every step I took had to be the step I had to take to get to where I am now. Those catalysts is what you're exploring there, Iheanyi. These reality checks, these rug being pulled out from underneath your feet moments are that is the moment when people heighten their senses and they get a really good look at the situation. But it's a question of, do they then revert back to that kind of obedient archetypal system server who is the victim of tyrannical greed, or they become the driver, the pilot, and or whatever it may be, and take the proverbial bull by the horns and head in a direction of your choosing. And that's in relation to the world and your place in it. How are you energetically responding to that, what you're exposing yourself to? And do you realize that that's either weaving, well, not either, it's weaving the quality of your experience. So if you are unhappy with the quality of your experience, then seriously take recognition of your emotional reaction to what it is you're constantly putting out there and thinking, because it's what's weaving the reality that we're experiencing. As we discussed, there are beings on higher planes of existence and just out of our visual field of sense experience that are waiting, in one sense, for us to re-engage that dormant capability about ourselves.
Right.
I may have rambled on a bit there.
No. That's all, mate.
But it is one of those quandaries, isn't it? Where if you take into another kind of theoretical quandary or field of thought, and it's one that is held within some spiritual circles, that Earth, the third dimensional plane as we're experiencing it, is a nursery for souls
from all corners of the universe, right? All kinds of strange beings choose to incarnate here to have and undergo these experiences. It's apparently a very unique place. And there are those that would like to see it more in a harmonious state of progressive evolutionary process in the senses of spiritual, technological development, moving into a world more efficient and inclined with the natural harmony of things from a metaphysical, spiritual, theoretical, and ethical standpoint. But equally, there's also those beings that are very much within the sense of it all, the touch, the feel, the passion, the lust, the anger, the physicality of it all, the hot, sweaty nature, filthy, grimy passion and sordid grit of what can bring about the most archaic, barbarous facets of consciousness itself. Or the most angelic. That's the paradox when you give, as you touched upon earlier on, choice.
All right. Well, there you go. Look at that. And once again, about 90 minutes. So.
Yeah, it's nice. I don't know if me going for to the bathroom's going to be a great experience for people, but you might not have heard nothing, so that's cool.
Oh, well, there you go. I wasn't really thinking about the bathroom, so you're good to go, bro. Good to go.
Well, it's all part of the tapestry, isn't it? It's all part of the tapestry.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm going to have to have a look at this profile, though. So that was a good test. A good test. We could see what happens.
Right.
What say you, Marius? Are you with us? Any closing thoughts from yourself?
If you hear Karl going to the toilet, please remember to flush the toilet and wash your hands. This is being promoted by beep 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 beep.
Terrible. Terrible. Fair play for the effort, though.
I had a point earlier on. I tried to tap in, but you were too deep in, and you didn't hear me. So I just let it run, and now I don't get it. I don't remember it. Forget it. But it was great just listening to you. We're letting the mind run itself without you tampering on it.
It's an interesting thought you've left me with there, Marius.
Yes, indeed. I'm over here just making notes here. There you go. Right. Nice. Right. Test. Direct.
So what do you do then? Just hang up and it's done?
I think so. Direct to. Yeah, I think so. 2 hours. Yeah. I believe so. It says here, finish recording. So I can hit a button that says finish recording.
Yeah, I've got that button as well. But does it just end it for you, or does it end it for everybody?
The host probably stays. It's only us. Because my one says
why don't
leave.
we never know and just all press it?
That's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
What do you mean never know and we all press it? If this is a test run, then we can find out how it works.
Well, why do we need to know? Why do we need to know? If we all just end the call, then it's done.
See?
Does it come from a little bit of like the need of control, Karl? What are you presenting ourselves with, right?
No, it's not control. It's just. It's like no, it's letting go. The control would be to.
I like how Iheanyi tapped in. It's funny. The protective brother.
No, again, he's got a point. It's the point of letting go of the idea that what you're just about to embark upon has some reason.
Yeah, so I can bring the point of letting go of control. There is another point. There you go.
Marius.
We can play the game,
All right.
right?
Well, you press leave the room and see what happens.
Oh, that would be a surprise. I wouldn't know what happens.
Well, how are you going to know how it happens? There's a need for control right there. Why do you need to know? That was the point of my opening statement.
I knew you were going to play that card, so I'm playing your game. Okay, gents. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you around. You're going to send us the recording? Or is it going to get recorded into... I don't care.
It don't matter, does it? Who knows? What do you need to know for? Let go of control, Marius.
No, that's not control. I wanted to listen to it, you arse.
Oh, no, there's not just a control issue. There's also a want as well, isn't there?
Stop pressing the buttons. You're playing with the buttons, you little cheeky boy.
All right. Well, right. Okay. So, what are we just going to press this button then, like a bunch of teenage boys, and just work out what happens?
No. Look. Okay, look. Because it's been about 5 minutes and everybody's been talking about pressing buttons. So here's what we can do, right? Why don't you two just Marius? Why don't you disconnect and then Dapper you disconnect? Because at the end of the day, as a host, I'm intrigued to know, the rest of the process. All I did was I invited you guys, and then next thing I heard hello, and I was like, all right, so we're in. I have no clue about the process, publishing. Do you know what I mean? So I want to kind of see. So you right? So give that a shot. I won't tell you, so that way you still won't know, and you'll have to still lose. So you'll still have that no control thing. You know what I mean? That control thing will still be in place. Yeah, no problem. I got you.
All right, love and light. I'll speak to you soon.
Love and light. Oh, look.
He's gone. Right, yeah, he's gone on my screen as well, so I should disappear.